This is Off the Break Podcast, presented by Silver Screen Insider.
And we're back at Off the Break Podcast, your podcast dedicated to current movie theater news, operations, and insights from the people that book the movies. I'm Cody, and with me are Kyle and Ken.
Hi.
I thought all the spooky stuff in Halloween was last week.
Yeah,
It was looking so good, guys.
I know.
We're having a quiet week, not almost any sort of changes were happening
we were
at all.
like, everybody's distracted with this election. They're not going to change the release schedule.
This was going to be such a nice podcast where we were like, it
Yeah.
was a week where we survived and everything's hunky-dory.
Yep.
No big changes. And then Friday came.
Yes, Friday has come. Well, I should say Thursday afternoon. We got our, bad
It
news
was
letters.
after hours.
Yeah.
It was after hours. It was not like 4:30. It was like 8 o'clock.
It was so late that I was like, is this real? Like, I just happened to notice it. There was no notification. Like, we didn't get, our Silver Screen Insider didn't get posted. It was just so late in the evening. We're like, oh, this is really happening. Okay. Yeah.
What is happening? Fill everybody
What is
in.
happening? Okay. Let's get to this. All right. You know how we always talk about our upcoming releases and any changes? Well, there's few and few movies on the release schedule left, and now Disney has removed Free Guy and Death on the Nile from their December release.
And those were like, what, a week or two before Christmas?
Yeah, so I think Free Guy was the 11th and Death on the Nile was the 18th,
That sounds right.
and now they're just off. They have not been redated anywhere, so does not bode well. Thank you, Disney.
This isn't a good way to end the year, is it?
No,
Getting a
no.
little sketchy.
Lean. Let's just
Lean's
say
a good word.
Little lean. Universal still has their Thanksgiving stuff, and I just take it that Warner's will probably move Wonder Woman. I just don't see them keeping it there, especially with Disney moving off now. So I just really don't think there's even going to be Wonder Woman. Now, News of the World might still happen. Universal, I'm sure it'll depend on how well they do with Freaky and with Crudes, but we may still see News of the World at Christmas. And so it's not like we would be without a Christmas release. We just would be without the one that everybody would want to go see.
How is it that Universal hasn't removed anything?
Well, it's because they
we
have,
hated them at the start of the year, and now they're the
'Cause they're-
unsung heroes almost.
because they're going to have a shortened window.
That's probably
They're going to have this dynamic pandemic windowing where they'll go to their model of theaters for 3 weekends or so and then into PVOD.
It's a good way to justify whatever side they want to take.
Yeah.
If Freaky works, then they can justify the side of the theaters and a theatrical
Yeah,
window.
we helped
and
you
then-
out.
And then tell everyone they helped us out. If it doesn't work out, they'll say the model's old, it doesn't work. We
Right.
need to completely eliminate the window or shorten it even further. It's politicized like everything else. It's like taking a gamble on these movies that they couldn't wait any longer because they have Minions waiting in the wings. Universal's got a dozen horror titles between Blumhouse and other projects.
whatever Jordan Peele makes.
Yeah. They've got all these things sitting there just waiting to come out. They can't sit on these titles.
Right.
They have to get them out at some point. They can't
Yeah.
have 40 releases in 2021.
Or
Just
can
can't.
we?
No, Universal can't.
Oh,
Universal themselves can't handle 40 releases in a
We
year.
could definitely handle
Combined,
it.
we would like
Yeah.
that for 2021. That would be great.
Yeah. So, what does this mean for booking strategy? Well, I'm not as scrambling as I have been every other time we've moved stuff off and been like, oh, what do I do now? I am going to stick with the holiday titles that I had. I'm just going to have to hold stuff, fill in holes. I want to make sure I don't waste a title at Thanksgiving for, say, one weekend or 1 week. And, we have to really look at pulling back operating hours and screen counts. I just, without a big title, I just don't see you having every screen open. And I've already have a few clients that have taken out 2 or 3 screens, just say, put them closed. And what they're doing with those screens so that they still get used is they're doing private party rent outs on those screens so that you still are keeping the projectors up and running. But
Hide and go seek events, jujitsu
Yeah.
tournaments, whatever you can get in.
Yeah, be really creative. I know that part of this was discussed on the NATO meeting, and it just, you're thinking like, well, if I don't play Hollywood movies and I don't get independent stuff, what am I going to do? And it's really easy to want to play DVDs and to say, well, screw you, Disney, if you're not going to play it in theaters, I'll just stream it on Disney Plus and show it anyways. And that will definitely, I think, get you in trouble. Once the studios find out it is against your master licensing agreement, you will be taken off service. So you cannot play unauthorized content in your theater. You need to have a legitimate booking. You can get creative with the format of that, but you have to make sure that the studio signs off on it. And if they don't allow you to have content, then there's not really a lot you can do without risking severing that relationship and getting into some legal issues. So as much as I think independent theater owners are independent minded and say they'll do whatever they want, that's
starting to get a little angsty in
Yeah.
moments, perhaps.
And you just got to remember that whatever you do today may have consequences for down the road, and just be very mindful of that moving forward.
It will be a battle you probably will not win.
Yeah.
So I highly suggest to not do that.
Right.
It's a little more confidential now than it used to be. You said there used to be a blacklist that theaters would, or that film companies would send back and forth, right? Where if
No.
somebody had something, information from, like if somebody did something to Disney, they would share that through channels with Paramount or with Sony.
Well, I think that any theater can rat out another theater for doing something, and I think that happens. If you decide to go off the reservation and you have a competitor nearby, the competitor can and will probably screenshot whatever you're doing online and send it into the studio. I mean, that's how a lot of the times people get caught, is by being turned in. And
It's a
so
brutal industry.
and
My
that-
goodness.
I
Lots
think
of
you
backstabbing.
need to, just beware and be careful.
Take it with a grain of salt too. If you see somebody else, bending the rules, that could be you next week if you're scrambling.
Yeah.
We're all in this together right now.
So we're saying
Right.
no snitches. We got to work together here.
Right.
And then once things are back to normal, it's everyone for themselves.
It's everyone for themselves again. No, so I mean, just you never know who's looking, and the studios do have the ability to scan showtimes and find content. And if you accidentally decide to play something you're not supposed to, people have been caught because they turned in grosses. I mean, their POS systems automatically sent grosses in, and they're like, what is this? So there's lots of ways you can mess up, and it's just better, I think, and it behooves you to just not show stuff you are not booked for, or to not show things if you're not booked for them. So just stay away from that.
We're better than this.
We are.
We will beat COVID. We will beat streaming. We will
Right.
Let's
stand tall at the end
let's
of
show
this.
them that we're all in this together. Let's show them that we're the tough industry, not
Yeah.
a bunch of backstabbers.
Because there
and-
is a lot of product out there.
yeah.
And you can get legit bookings on a lot of product. You don't need to go the other way.
For
Yeah,
sure.
We've got all the combo drives that you're messing with now for the
Yeah.
holidays.
So I just want to make everybody aware there are several combo drives from the studios. Sony's got the holiday combo drive that has some great titles on it. Like I've said before, I'm targeting the Holiday, Hook, and Earth of Christmas. Universal's got a great combo drive, includes both versions of The Grinch. So the live action Jim Carrey and the 2018 animated. Love Actually is on there, and I think Rise of the Guardians.
Yeah.
Those are some notable ones on that one. I think they also have some older titles too.
They have plenty of older titles, and
Yeah.
Universal always has their like classic combo drives with Alfred Hitchcock and
Right. And all this stuff, the classic
The stuff
drives
that
from
we-
before
the
is still
reopening
are still
drives, yeah.
available. And I think they're coming down in prices a little bit on those. So the more you book from these combo drives, the cheaper the terms become. So just keep that in mind.
The more you book at once.
At once, yeah. And then Warner's even has a holiday drive. I think
They have
they have 4 different
four
ones.
separate ones.
the one that I have come across with the most is the one for National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. It also has. Does that one have Elf
Polar
on
Express,
it? Polar
Elf,
Express. Yeah.
Christmas Story, and then the all-time Christmas classic Gremlins, which
Gremlins. Yeah, that one was
Does that
a
one
weird
count?
one, but it's on there if you want something alternative. So
that's a good November fill-in.
yeah, well, it's just nice. I really love booking combo drives. It's just nice to have the drive there, all the content, key only bookings. You're not trying to wait around for shipments. You're not getting dinged on extra shipping charges. The combo drives really are awesome, and there's a lot of good titles on here because there's just a lot of good holiday titles at this time. The ones that we cannot book because they are Disney, just to reiterate, are Home Alones are not available anymore. The Fox title, they are now Disney. Unless Disney changes their mind and puts it out there for us, Home Alones are not available. What else is another one? Die Hard is not available anymore. I know
that's
that
a mistake. They need to play that.
that's becoming a must-see Christmas movie, and that one's again a Fox title that is not available.
Yep.
To play. So, any other ones off the top of your head? Those are the two that I just get asked.
I mean, they gave
all
us
the
Santa
time.
Claus this year.
Yeah.
For November 20th, which
Yeah.
is awesome.
Santa
'cause
Claus
that hasn't been available
It's a
forever.
classic.
And it's always requested, and
Yeah.
it's just not available. But it is starting on the 20th, November 20th.
For 2 weeks.
For 2 weeks.
That's it.
There are mini ads on Silver Screen Insider for the Santa Claus
Oh,
too.
nice.
So
That's even awesome.
yeah.
We
Made it
didn't-
work for that one.
And then, yeah, any others that... There's just so many titles.
Disney has this plethora of family and kid titles.
Yeah.
I mean, there are hundreds, thousands of movies that involve Christmas or Thanksgiving or the holidays that they have that are just not available. There's only one title every week for the 4 weeks in November. That's all we have.
And
them.
I'm hoping now that Disney has pulled their first run product out of December, we may get a few more titles. So be on the lookout for those, because every time they've done this previously, we've gotten a couple titles released to us, repertory stuff. So be on the lookout for anything new repertory wise. But right now, they just have availability into November, so they don't have any December titles.
Yeah, we definitely need Die Hard, Die Hard 2. Die Hard with a
If we
Vengeance.
could get Die Hard and Home
All of them
Alone,
up until 4.
that would be great. Princess Bride is another one. It's not necessarily Christmas. It's just often requested.
Oh, you should just play that one all the time.
I feel
Play it
that
on the 4th of July. It'll be
You should not play because it's Disney and you're not allowed.
the
But
way
if Disney changes their mind, that would be one I would be at the top of my request list.
Disney should.
Yeah.
They should, but they
Should.
maybe they won't. I don't know.
Well, what we're saying is there's lots of holiday options. There's lots of new, more independent options that we've been booking and playing.
Yep.
That we've gotten screeners for and seen, and some we have strong opinions about positively, and some are very negative.
Right. We'll get into those a little later.
Yes.
Well, so I think that kind of covers booking strategies. If anything else comes up or I get another stroke of genius and want to let everybody know, I'll be on next week's podcast giving you the heads up. What's going on, Kyle, in the news?
Well, Nolan is still defending theaters, which good. Like someone in the industry needs to.
Especially a creative.
Yeah, exactly.
Jordan Peele.
Recently, in an interview, he was coming out and saying that he was happy with the success that Tenet had in this COVID world that we're living in. He thought like the number was, a good number. He just thinks that studios are getting the wrong impression based on those box office earnings. He's thinking that it's now causing studios to come up with excuses even more so to move away from theatrical distribution when instead he was trying to give the push of like, no, like this could still work. We just have to adjust like our expectations. Especially for like studios, they need to adjust theirs, which I don't know. I totally agree with him, obviously. Like, I think that's what should happen. But, these studios are a fan of money, as are all of us.
Right.
And they're trying to go with different alternatives until something changes. Or maybe they're trying to change the industry completely.
Yeah, it is difficult. I think that you could argue there was a lot of successes with Tenet. It showed that given product, something new, audiences will return. I think that was proven there. It's also being proven with other titles in other, international markets as well, that people are returning to the theater if there's something new to watch.
Yeah.
Now, I think that what studios are taking from it was somehow that Tenet underperformed and was disappointing in the results. But that's just really hard because Tenet was never going to be this all audience film that played equally everywhere equally as well. So it really had its markets it worked very well in, and it did okay in markets. But I think even in a normal year, it would have just done okay in a lot of those markets that it played in.
Interesting.
As well. So I think Tenet's very cerebral. It was a great action movie, but it does confuse audiences. It's hard to market because you don't really know what the story is that you're marketing. And that is always plagued Christopher Nolan films, the outside of the Batman franchise, because everybody knows what Batman is, and that's easy to market. So for his other stuff, I think that's always been an issue and always plagued, and that's why his movies play in certain areas better than others. But you couldn't take it wasn't really a movie you would take grandma to. It wasn't that like Get Out and had to see it right away movie either. Interesting,
because I always assumed that was like the appeal with Nolan when it comes to like a theatrical release of his. I kind of got that out of Inception or Dunkirk. That wasn't anything that was not his Batman movies.
Yeah.
So I'm a little surprised.
I think for his
reaction from you, I suppose,
for his audiences, the people that really appreciate him, they like that about him.
Yeah.
That's why he has a core group of followers and people that really support him.
Very diehard
fans, and he has a core group. But I think trying to get audiences outside of that, it's just. Mm-hmm. I think it's a tougher sell for general audiences. There's just a lot of people that were confused. We even had some people walk out. I mean, not because the movie was bad, just that they just weren't getting it. And I think that limited repeat viewings of it as well. Also increased repeat viewings because people are confused and liked it and wanted to go try to see it more to figure it out. So it all balances out.
I kind of figured it would have the same sort of in a normal year, I figured they would have the same sort of success as Inception would have.
Uh-huh.
And that was pretty successful, I would say. But I guess you would know better than I would, like if Inception kind of had like the same responses in certain areas as you're describing for like Tenet.
Yeah, but I think Inception also benefited from having Leonardo DiCaprio and just a little bit more star power in it.
So you're saying success doesn't mean what we think it means, and definitions aren't quite definitions.
It's all about your perception.
And perception
is reality.
But it's someone else's reality.
You're confusing me.
Yeah.
You're confusing. I'm getting out of here.
Thanks, 2020.
It's 2020.
Screwed this all up.
Yeah.
So I don't know. So I guess then
I just want to argue that it wasn't that he was successful. I think it had some merit. I'm very, very thankful that he did, put his name and reputation and his product out there for everybody.
I'm so happy he fought for that.
And I think it proved that it can work. And like he said, studios need to rethink their expectations of stuff.
Yeah, I don't think his next movie is going to be at Warner Brothers, but
I'm sure it will be, but I don't know if it'll have.
That's a big hot take.
I don't know if it'll have the budget that this one had.
We'll be shooting it on a high 8.
They're like, maybe make this on a more indie scale then.
Yeah.
Here's blowing up plane scale.
Here's a new iPhone. Have a great time.
Let's face it, it will still look like a masterpiece.
Yeah, and the movie was so good. And I, who am not a huge fan, I've never seen Inception. I've not seen Interstellar all the way through. I just not really my kind of movie. I loved this movie and just really enjoyed myself in going, and so I'm a big fan now.
I'm on board with him.
Big enough of a fan that you
I'm a big Lee fan.
Forced yourself to watch one of the Batmans all the way through.
I did. Watched one.
Which one did you watch again? Begins or Dark Knight?
Dark Knight.
Okay, yeah.
And I watched it all the way through. And Heath Ledger was great, like everybody says he was. Very creepy.
Yeah.
I can't believe he was in his 20s. He looks much older.
He looks much older in his Joker makeup.
Yeah. Ooh.
So yeah, I mean, it was great for what Nolan did,
Right.
and I don't know. It's all about perception, I guess, which is also weirdly his cup of tea as well. So
Yeah. No, and it
who knows who's right?
and the problem is, even if you extrapolated the success that he did have, I just think studios are still really hesitant to not to put a film out and not have the top markets. I mean, that I think hurt Christopher Nolan a lot. I think we would be talking about a much more successful run of his if he had had New York and LA. And I think that is probably a big takeaway that the studios are looking at, is saying, hey, we need these big markets that New York, LA, San Francisco, Chicago, like these markets produce so much of the gross that to not have one or both is just a no-go. It's a non-starter for them. And that the rest of the country isn't making up for those few markets. And that's definitely an issue.
Yeah, and they put a lot of stock in those two markets. Obviously, they should, but yeah. I mean, we were on a call with a film company a few weeks ago where they said on a $17 million national gross, they would expect 10 of that to come from New York and LA, which to us seems outrageous.
Yeah.
Beyond
How
outrageous.
many theaters are there possibly in those areas to do that?
But they consider those two markets 60% of the theater goers.
I think it goes back to perception. A lot of studio executives live in New York or LA. And so in their mind, what's happening in those locations, just, the breakdown in those locations has to be happening in other places, or it's just so insurmountable that the other places can't overcome it. And I think that that's also hurting us a little bit as well.
It's just so weird that for them, like, wanting to release these movies out into the public, like big, wide, grand releases, they think so small when it comes to like where the money comes from.
Yeah.
It's just such a weird, I don't know, maybe I'm in Montana, so like everything seems big to me with all the mountains and whatnot, but like it's just so weird to me thinking that like it's just such small-minded thinking for something that affects, nationwide, the other 49 states that you're in, that has who knows how many types of theaters in whatever city, town, Hodunk, Nowheresville that they live in. It's I don't know, it's just such a weird concept to me. I'll never understand it.
When they open up a film, whether it's 1,000 print counts or 4,000, they're only looking at those top 100 locations to see how they do.
They really are. And I don't know what goes into deciding between, I know there's a cost benefit analysis that goes into deciding between a 1,000 print count and a 4, but man, it just, you sold everybody on digital conversion because you thought that getting prints would be easier. That film did have a prohibitive cost. Those prints did cost thousands of dollars to make. But now that you're making digital drives for a couple $100, if that, then it just doesn't seem fair that you just don't play it everywhere, that you just don't take any opportunity at money where you can make it and give everybody an opportunity to play it. And like we've been struggling even in this COVID time of them being like, oh, we're going to release in theaters, but then the print counts are so small that even with the big guys like Regal being closed, you're still not getting prints because the print counts are so small now. They're really only going to their preferred locations, which are a top 500 market, and then the next kind of 500 theaters, and they're not always you in your area. And it just seems like you could add 500 more prints and get everybody in on this one. Make just that little bit more.
That's always been our argument. Let people play it if they want to play it.
Yeah.
Like, get it out there. If somebody thinks it's going to do well and they're willing to put it on their screen and risk their screen time and their concessions and their attendance, let them play it, especially now, right now, because there's nothing to lose with making another print available.
I don't want to set a precedent, but I also don't think that theaters and streaming can't be played at the same time. I don't think that they're so exclusive that the experience can't be happening at the same time. That, if Disney wants to put Soul at Christmas, why can't all the theaters stream it in? If you don't want print costs, why don't you let the theaters get that Disney Plus subscription, which are all about the numbers, and stream it in for a certain fee? I mean, take those small technology changes into consideration, and you can even make a commercial Disney Plus license thing. Maybe that's a direction we can go, but don't ice out theaters completely.
This is dangerous talk.
I know, it's
theatrical
dangerous.
only.
We're here
for
as much
theatrical.
as I want to be on principle as theatrical only, I also don't want it to not have an opportunity at something. I mean, I think playing Soul day and date is better than not getting to play Soul at all now at Christmas. If you've just decided to be open and we're not getting Wonder Woman.
Cody does not represent the views of SilverScreenInsider.com.
Those are just some tough questions.
Or any of our subsidiaries.
You have to ask.
Theater only.
Talking to me about a hot take.
Sorry.
Comes Cody with a fireball.
I don't want to, like I said, I don't want to set a precedent. But, I mean, do you want to stand on principle and not have it product to really play? Or, I don't know. These are just questions that you gotta ask yourself. And I don't think that, I don't think Disney will ever give you the opportunity to, to stream and go theater day and day. I don't think that that's going to happen. But I just hate that it's one or the other and you're being iced out.
At this point, since, the industry is trying to change so much, there should at least be conversation of how can we get the best of both worlds? How can we meet in the middle? Because right now, we were hoping like in these times of COVID, like we would kind of figure out how that could come about. But instead, the separation is only widening more and more. And the conversation, and we should like try and voice this to be like, okay, if you're wanting to do theater and streaming, fine. But how can we find that middle ground? A middle ground's fine. Right. Like we prefer, theater only first and whatever later. But, if things are changing so much the way they are, then at least let theaters adapt to it so that way they can still run their business, but it's fair to the studio.
Exactly. I think, there's going to be a lot of questions. Like if you get to open something and it only has a 3-week window, does that mean that when it goes streaming, do you have to hold? Do you have to hold with the same ticket price? Do you have to have it cleaned? Do you have to have all the show times? I mean, is there going to be a fundamental change in policy once it goes streaming? And is that where we go from there? Or are you just going to force theaters into keeping it like it was an exclusive,
And part of what you're paying for with that exclusivity is all of the marketing machine that comes into it with Disney, where it's everywhere. It's on McDonald's cups. It's on billboards. It's on every television ad break. But
if they're not doing that now,
you can't pay the premium terms that you're used to paying.
Yeah, does that come into play somewhere?
It has to on our end, and anyone who's booking has to consider that.
I don't think that by saying, "Hey, I want to maybe play Soul day and date with streaming," if that it just is bringing up questions of what your comfort is, what the the policy should be kind of moving forward. Is there a middle ground there somewhere? I mean, there's still a lot of questions. If you do play Soul day and date with Disney, do you have to pay first run terms that you were used to paying when you got exclusive? Do you have to pay, do they have to charge full ticket prices for this now that because you're competing with a free service of it? The studio will need something out of you, so you probably have to charge something. And do you have to give it clean schedules? Do you have to give it preferred show times? Do you, there's just a lot to it that beyond just saying, do I get to have? But I think I think having an opportunity at any product is good, and I don't think that hurts either the studios or the theaters. Having their product play as many places as possible.
It's still so weird hearing Soul going to like streaming or us asking for like day and date, because like I went to theaters to see like Finding Nemo and Incredibles, you know? Like I saw Pixar movies in theaters, and it's going to be weird seeing like a Pixar movie not in theaters originally. Like it's going to be on my TV. I don't know. It's
6 months ago. If you told Disney this was what they were going to be doing, they would have laughed in your face.
Well, maybe more than 6 months ago.
No,
last
I think
year.
even 6 months ago, because Mulan didn't go until, what was it, August? I mean,
I think they made that plan in July, right?
Yeah, but I mean, 6 months ago was May, when everybody was like, "Oh, we're almost at the end of this. Like, we're getting close to
This
the finish
virus
line
will be
here."
over.
Yeah, I mean, I think even then, even that little of a window, they would have laughed because they knew Soul was potentially $1 billion movie for them. Like that's out there that Pixar does very, very well.
Pixar makes money.
Yeah.
So there was this idea, and now their whole business model has changed in that short period of time. For Disney, who was the gold standard for us for the last decade.
I mean,
for making money.
True. At the beginning of all this, before COVID, they were very big proponents of theatrical windowing because they knew they could dominate it.
Because they were making $1 billion with everything they put out.
And they needed
I
to.
really like theaters. They're like super cool. It seems so smart.
This TV's larger than the TV in my home.
Well, and we just know that not all streaming content works. Like we just saw Quibi, which was a short form on the go mobile platform, die a very gruesome death. And so you're going to get a saturated market on that front. You're going to, I don't know if there's a lot of growth in there as much as they're saying there is, even if people just switch and don't occasionally, and only occasionally go to the theater. But I think you still need the avenue of theaters to diversify that a little bit.
And there's room to increase. I know Saban Films increased the window from 4 days to 11 days for Fat Man because they got enough theatrical attention.
I think so.
They got enough dates. They heard it right here on the podcast about how great it was.
Yeah, we talked about it. We saw the screener. We really enjoyed it. It was surprisingly funny, very dark. It's a dark...
It's R-rated action,
dark comedy.
But if there's interest in a film, it needs the opportunity to breathe in theatrical, and I think that's all we're asking for at this point.
Yeah,
to at least give us the opportunity.
Yep.
To do what we do.
So, does that move on to our next screener that we got? We just talked about how wonderful Fat Man was.
Yeah.
We got another one for Buddy Games, which is a day-and-date PVOD from Paramount, starring, I think it's directed by and starring Josh Duhamel.
There we go.
Duhamel. I don't know.
Doesn't matter.
Josh Caramel.
He is just so sweet.
But was he sweet in this movie? We'll find out.
No.
No. The answer is no.
No. I kind of got really excited about it because I thought the trailer looked hilarious and at least had the elements to be really funny. But then after watching the screener, I was disappointed. I felt the characters lacked chemistry. The characters were awful, just human beings.
Poorly written.
So
Excuse
no,
me?
just I don't know, just
unlikable.
Awful people. Yeah, very unlikable and no redeeming quality about them.
Yeah.
I thought that the jokes and the pranks and the games they played with each other were just cruel without being funny.
What is the premise of this movie? Because
usually we start with the premise, Cody. Before
Sorry,
we start.
I just didn't like it so much.
Before we start lighting fire to their corpses, let's
okay.
I work in this industry, and even I don't know what we're talking about.
So Buddy Games is a film about this group of guys who have this kind of Olympic like tournament of games every year, and they're silly and crazy, and there's a champ crowned at the end of it.
Oh, it's kind of like Tag.
Kind of like
that
Tag,
movie from
kind of like
last year, yeah.
Yeah. And
yeah.
and
could be
1 year the champion guy suffers a horrific accident, and then they don't have the games for like 5 years, and then the main guy, Josh Duhamel's character, Bob, who kind of ran the whole game thing. He gets a call and they need to start the games back up to save one of their buddies who's just hit complete rock bottom. And so they start the games back up again. And at the end, he decides that camaraderie and friendship means more than everything else. And they decide to continue the games.
Josh Caramel's name in the movie is Bob?
Bob, yeah.
That is not a match.
Josh
Caramel does not look like a Bob.
He's the Bob father.
Terrible.
That's his nickname.
Terrible.
Yeah. And he's like the rich one who's like successful and sold his company for millions of dollars, so he has the money to put on these things. And then one of his buddies is like a doctor, a chiropractor, and he's doing okay. And the other one's got like a tanning business or something. He's doing okay. But then there's the previous champ and this other guy. They're just like hit rock bottom, both of them, and they're just doing awful. And so they really need the games to kind of like make themselves feel better and all this. But it's just sad. It's just really sad and pathetic and not funny.
Ken, do you
Ken,
agree?
maybe you could speak to it better as a man.
I was hoping you'd actually tell us how you really felt about the movie.
That isn't how she really felt.
I was disappointed. Like, I was thinking about maybe canceling some bookings of it. I won't because we need it, but
fine. It's a adult comedy with body parts and bodily fluids.
there's a lot of balls in it, people. Just a lot of male balls.
Okay.
Are we gonna get demonetized?
Yeah. I think I covered that already.
You said parts, but I want to just make very clear it's balls.
Bodily fluids. Thanks, Cody.
I'm powering down for today.
So not the best movie, but you know what? There's Comeback Trail and Fat Man coming up, so maybe you can play that.
And we saw the screeners for those, and those are excellent. Mm-hmm. So maybe I just didn't appreciate it because being a lady, I'm not the audience. It was targeting.
But
so
how? There was balls in the movie.
I don't know. Just so excited.
It's a hit.
Yeah. So Ken, how was it from a guy's perspective?
We'll see you next week, folks. No, it was fine. It's a raunchy comedy about competition. It's not anything that's going to light the world on fire. It wasn't. It wasn't written to be some art piece to explain.
I'm not even looking for that either.
I know.
I was looking for a raunchy comedy, but to have that, you need to have comedy, and it needs to be funny.
Boom roasted.
It fell flat in a lot of places.
Okay.
It had the right pieces. It had good actors.
I kept getting excited, like, oh, here's the part. There is one shining good moment, and it is during a bar scene that you kind of see in the trailer where they have to go and get a lady to buy them a drink at the bar, and the one girl is so funny. I just wanted like 5 more minutes of her on screen. She was hilarious. I did like her.
Okay.
So that was a good part in it.
There you go. There's a positive.
Women funny, men not funny.
There was some
and
funny.
It's official.
There were some funny scenes. It just not enough to carry the movie.
I mean, comedies are hit and miss all the time.
Yeah, it's easy to strike the wrong tone, and this one had some spots where you thought it was going to be a romantic comedy, and then you thought it was going to be an action comedy, and then you thought it was going to be a horror movie at one point.
Yeah, at one point.
The tone completely changed like 3/4 of the way through, and you're like, oh, it's going to end up being a horror movie now?
Yeah.
Surprise.
That was weird.
There's 10 straight minutes where you think it's going to turn into like a slasher film. And
is Josh Duhamel directing genius?
He could be.
He knows something we don't.
The tone drastically changed to the point where you're like, I could be watching the wrong movie right now. It was incredible. You don't see that too often in a movie where you're like, oh, it's going to change genres now.
Right.
I was hoping during the middle of that the bar girl was coming back.
As far as a screen filler for people who are looking for an escape, it's not what we thought it was going to be. We thought it was going to be like a rated R grown-ups.
Yeah, I did. That's what I wanted. Rated R grown-ups.
Which would fit the bill. This is not that, but has a low minimum, low percentage.
Yep.
It's going to be somewhat promoted by Paramount.
Yeah, and I think the trailer oversells it. So I think you'll get people in because the trailer looked funny,
Yep.
and you just won't get them in a second time
for that movie. But they'll be in
Yeah.
the movie. You can show them how good the concessions are. You can get some other trailers up on screen
That's
to get
true.
them excited.
At least show people, hey, or kind of trick people into coming, and when they're disappointed by the movie, they'll be like, well, at least it was clean and I feel
we
safe.
had yummy snacks.
Yeah, we got snacks out of
I
it.
felt very safe here. In
Yeah.
New Jersey, you'll be able to buy marijuana treats for your
Yeah.
concessions pretty soon. That'll be exciting.
Same thing in Montana eventually.
Yeah, we'll get there. Maybe this movie could be funny.
More comedies will become hits after that.
Oh yeah, maybe we'll see a resurgence in comedy in a year or two.
They'll all be bad, but at least everyone laughed.
Yeah, no one will understand why they enjoyed it so much. They'll look at it again and be like, "What? Why did I like that movie?"
So funny, man.
Concession
It's
sales
like
are just
really,
woo.
Oh yeah,
really funny.
I'd get a variety on that menu and finger foods.
Man, that's genius. Maybe this will save the theater industry.
I know. Who would have thought that maybe adding marijuana will save the theater industry?
We're grasping at straws here, people.
We are. The snow hasn't hit, so COVID hasn't gone away yet.
But it will.
But it will.
Storms are coming.
Yeah.
Any other news items that we need to go over, or should we go to our Cody's classic corner, whatever Kyle's corner
we were gonna
is?
talk about the only other piece of news was that Johnny Depp resigned or was fired or removed.
He was fired.
Fired from Fantastic Beasts franchise. So I wonder who they're gonna recast for the Grindelwald character.
Maybe Colin Farrell, because he was in the first movie. Wasn't he like Grindelwald, but
Yeah,
he was
but
in a disguise?
He was, and that guy's dead now, so he can't bring that guy.
Yeah,
back.
but then I mean, who cares?
Yeah.
And also with this franchise, who cares? We've had a
yeah.
couple of episodes
Colin
where
Farrell
we've
would be
complained
good to
about
come
this
back.
franchise.
They said that they
before.
were in talks to bring back Mark Hamill and Harrison Ford to the Star Wars franchise. So if they can do that,
That's true.
I mean,
in a world where actual magic exists,
yeah.
they can bring back anyone.
No. The second movie, Crimes of Grindelwald, ruined the series for me so much because it was just so poorly done.
Oh, it was terrible.
And regardless of Johnny Depp was in it, but it didn't suffer because Johnny Depp was in it. It suffered because it was poorly written for a screenplay.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think so. I'm not super excited about the next one, and I even forgot they were making more until this story came out.
Should we explain why he's getting fired?
Oh, yeah. He's getting fired because a judge ruled that he probably did do domestic abuse against Amber Heard, his ex-wife.
Yeah.
So
If he didn't with a $50,000 a month wine habit, I don't know how.
it's true.
I'd be hitting
True.
anything around me if I was trying to put down that much wine a month.
So much wine.
Just swinging in any direction.
Yeah.
Come at me, bro.
I do think like Harry Potter fans will be happy by this news. I don't think they like Johnny Depp's casting in the first place because there was those investigations about him possibly abusing her that was going around at the time. So maybe people will be like, oh, I like this franchise again because he's no longer in it. But me personally, like, I just hated the second one so much.
Me too.
That I don't care.
I don't care either.
It could be, it could be Mark Hamill who becomes Grindelwald.
I might care then.
Well,
I
maybe a
might.
little.
I might care.
That might have
then.
been a bad example, but
Yeah.
you know what I mean.
Yeah.
We've had multiple episodes like discussing how terrible that second movie is.
Yeah.
No, the idea of the Harry Potter universe was ruined for me by chubby middle-aged Harry Potter at the end of number 8. I no longer needed
He
any more
wasn't
Harry
chubby.
Potter. Yes, he was.
I mean, maybe on the cheeks, but I think that was makeup.
Yeah.
But he
I think that
was
was makeup
doesn't
to make him look
sense.
old.
Which to make him look, he was already that age anyway.
Yeah.
You didn't need the makeup.
No, it was.
Or maybe he was. I
It
don't
ruined the whole thing for me. It's like, come on, guys.
Oh.
We don't need the weird foreshadowing.
I mean, Harry spent so many years running around, and now he doesn't need to anymore. He has no reason to be running.
That's right. No one's chasing him to kill him.
Middle age is perfect for him. He just needs a nice desk job, not having to run away from he who shall not be named anymore.
Yeah.
I get it.
Easy for you to say.
Yeah. The only thing good about Fantastic Beasts 2 Crimes of Grindelwald was that they cast Jude Law as Dumbledore, and that was like the best part of the whole movie.
Easily the best part. Terrible script, but he made the most of it.
Yeah.
Isn't that right, Ken?
Right, Ken?
Never saw it because of chubby old man Harry Potter.
Well, you didn't miss much.
That was
then,
the end of the game.
fair.
That was the end of the game for me.
So anyway, that was. I think this also happened today, so we just figured on discussing that. But
Yep.
I don't know. I don't care. I don't care about
Don't
this.
care.
I don't care about this franchise.
Well,
It's fine.
apparently it's still a thing, though.
I think Warner Bros. Is trying to make it a thing.
Yeah.
I just don't care.
Well, because what should be a 3-picture series is what, 5?
5,
They're
and
into
there will be spin-offs for like the Muggle character, whatever his name is. Like somehow they'll make a Warner Bros. Plus TV show for him or something in the future.
Maybe we'll see if he survives this.
They totally need to give me a check because they're listening. They're like, wait a minute, we could do something here.
Yeah. All right.
I don't think I'd be wrong.
I don't think you're wrong.
I'm just saying.
If he survives, he should have a spinoff. He is one of the better characters.
I guess it'd be HBO Max. Maybe I'm wrong there, but other
Right.
than that,
Yeah. Maybe it'll be like the Avengers. I can't remember his character's name. What is it? Do you know?
who? Oh, the Muggle character?
Yeah.
No idea.
Okay. Well, it'll be Avengers of Muggle character, and maybe he marries Queenie. I always thought that they were supposed to be together, but then they've got torn apart. But maybe he gets together with her, and then he has to like navigate it. Like it'll be a good sitcom.
That would be a good sitcom.
Yeah.
That actor's funny.
Yeah.
Anyway, Cody's Classic Corner. Should we get to that?
No.
No? Why not,
No.
Cody?
Because I think we've had a lot of bad news today and gone over a lot of booking strategies, and we really should just
Sounds
wrap
like you
up
didn't
this
watch a movie,
podcast.
Cody.
I
What was your movie? I don't even remember.
it was Buddy Games, right?
Nailed it.
I mean, it's not like I haven't not been watching movies.
She goes into these with so much confidence. The Friday we name it, she's like, nailed it.
Yeah,
I'll take care of it.
And we even changed the format to where we're doing it, every other week now
Yeah.
instead of weekly?
Yeah.
So do you want me to talk about Frighteners?
Yes, please.
It was Frighteners, right?
Yeah.
I watched that and I wasn't too sure.
Yes. It was
Okay,
Michael
good.
J. Fox.
Oh,
Yes,
no, it
yes.
throws you way off when you're like, that's Marty McFly. Okay, I get this.
He's not wearing the vest, but that's okay.
There's not a
Yeah.
DeLorean.
I had a good time with Frighteners, actually.
Yeah, not too bad.
Yeah, I mean, no, exactly. It's not too bad of like a horror comedy, but the comedy in it like hit a lot more than I thought it would. Yeah, I don't know. There was some weird stuff throughout the plot, like that FBI detective who like also was in like a Nazi cult of some kind,
Yeah.
or that part. That part I didn't decide not to rewind because I was like, maybe they'll discuss that more. But that was probably like the one part where I was like, is this really where we need to go with this character?
Do we need this guy?
But no, Frighteners was a surprisingly good time for me. Like I enjoyed the comedy of it, and there was actually some horror stuff where it looks cheap now, but like I still was in my room and I was like, oh geez, I'm kind of
Freaked
scared
out.
right now. I'm kind of a little scared right now, but yeah, I don't know. It just hit on both the levels I was supposed to, and it felt like it was self-aware enough to where it wasn't. It took us.
Right.
I don't know. Like it toes that fine line for like the self-awareness aspect for me, to where it's like it's serious about like the stakes of the movie, but also you don't really need to worry about it that much. Like it's supposed to be a fun time. So I was impressed by how they were able to get the best of both worlds out of that. So yeah. I enjoyed it.
No, it's not a bad one. And surprisingly, like people don't think about it being a Michael J. Fox film. Is he even in a lot of actual movies? Like, can you name
Yes.
a lot of movies that he's
At about
in?
that time,
He was in Doc Hollywood, where he played the doctor that comes to a small town. He was in the movie with James Woods, where he's a Hollywood actor that follows a cop around and gets shot in the end. He
have
was
no
very
idea what any of
popular and did
these-
very, very many movies. Okay, then
My-
I get a pick a
my-
Michael J. Fox movie
My
for you to watch
reference-
along with Cinderfella, because
It was Cinderfella. I'm gonna watch that one now.
yeah, Kyle, take the week off. Great job.
Thank you.
From
I'll
mov-
watch Cinderella as a reward.
from movie watching. Keep updating the database.
Yeah.
Now get back to work,
keep
Kyle.
posting those things you post so well.
Yeah.
So I will find a horrible Michael J. Fox movie for you to watch. You'll enjoy that very much.
I just thought in my mind he was in Back to the Future and Frighteners, and that was it.
And then he
and did TV.
Then
No, and then he
from
did
acting.
TV. Yeah.
Well, what about
What shows did he do on TV?
Um,
Oh, geez, I'm spacing on the show's name now too.
Family Ties.
Before he did that before Back to the Future. He was like 12.
Okay, yeah, that's true. That was before Back to the Future. That's
Yeah.
right.
No, I'm going back and going forward.
Kyle, why don't you read us out while Cody figures out
Did
one
he
of
do
these?
Spin City? Was he the
You got so lucky.
in the end?
You got
like,
so
okay.
lucky.
He did, and then he did a doctor show, the Michael J. Fox show.
I do
I bet
remember.
that is a real thing.
That was a thing. That
Yeah.
was a thing.
Nailed it. Okay, Kyle.
Ha.
Read us out.
All right, everyone. Thank you again for listening to this episode of Off the Break podcast. You can check out many other episodes at silverscreeninsider.com and other podcast platforms. On our website, if you're a theater owner or manager and you need to see the upcoming slate of movies and what sort of marketing materials you can use to promote those movies, you can check us out there.
You can listen to, we're going to keep the tape rolling so you can listen to Cody's nailed it hour. So
Yeah.
she can just,
Cool under pressure.
she can
All
just,
right.
she can just gloat and you can hear her two-stepping in the background.
I do pew pews
I
sometimes.
know. That's why I did it.
Cody doing her best Dolly Parton impression.
Yeah. Had a slunch.
Oh, that was a good laugh. I needed that laugh.
All right. Have a great weekend, everybody.
Take it easy.
Hi.